On August 1st of 2012, my dream came true. I was able to quit my full-time job as an attorney to work full-time with my husband in our business. At that moment, even though I had achieved this amazing goal, the goal that most of my colleagues were trying to achieve, they wanted to quit their jobs and live life on their own terms, I was miserable and I was depressed. As I started getting recognized and started speaking on stage, I started really looking around at the other people in my industry. And I noticed that they were skinnier. They were prettier. They made more money than I did. They had prettier websites. And I started feeling this small. And I felt like no one would want to learn from me. The reason why I didn't think that they would want to learn from me was because I felt like I was not enough. For years, Rich and I had been trying to start a family. And our first attempt at in vitro fertilization ended in pregnancy and a miscarriage. In 2013, I had finally gotten to a place where I thought I was ready to try again. And so we did. Not only did I not get pregnant, I ended up in the ER. And I still remember to this day looking up at my sweet husband and business partner and feeling like an absolute failure. That really started the downward slide to depression and really locked in those feelings of not being good enough, pretty much on all fronts. So I started to medicate myself with food. The bigger I got, the less I wanted to be on video, the less I wanted to be on stage, the less I wanted to share a message or inspire other people. So I ended up in this horrible downward spiral. I remember one day in March, Rich and I were standing right there in the kitchen, and I told him that I was done. I wanted to go back to full-time law practice. I clearly was not cut out to be an entrepreneur. And he asked me, what about your calling? I told him that I thought that God had called the wrong girl for the job. But we had this conference that we had already paid for, bought the plane tickets, had the hotel room. It was a 3-day event in San Diego. And Rich asked me, well, what are you going to do about this conference? And I told him that I would go to the conference. We'll see what happens. Either I am going to come back rejuvenated and ready to continue on the entrepreneurial path, or I would come back and go back to my law firm and practice law full time. The morning of the 3rd day of this conference, and out walks Marcus Lemonis. He asked the audience one question: what is something that you have never told anybody, and how does that affect your business? And in that moment, the answer washed over me. I hate myself. When I looked in the mirror, I literally hated the person staring back at me. And how did that affect our business? Well, it affected everything. Why would anyone want to learn from someone that hated themselves? I was ashamed. I knew that by loving myself, I would be able to help way more people. That was the day that I committed to a complete and total reinvention of myself. I started something that I have now dubbed Unbecoming. So for the next 1.5 years, I committed myself to getting rid of all of the layers that no longer served me. It was through that entire unbecoming process that I became inspired to write my book, Unstoppable Influence, and create a movement in the process. And So many people have been so hurt throughout the years. They've been hurt by other people, they've hurt themselves, and through that process, their light is dimmed. Everyone was born with a light. That light was meant to be shared. I am proud to be leading a movement of people who are committed to uncovering their light and sharing their light in the world to make the world a better place. Maybe the journey isn't about becoming anything. It's about unbecoming all the things that were never really you in the first place. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in working with me and my husband Rich in a more intimate setting at a higher level, then click the button on this page and you'll be taken to an application where you'll then have an opportunity to speak with one of our team members to see if you're a good fit.